Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing a comparison between the Revolution Beauty Makeup Revolution, whatever it's called, Reloaded Iconic Division palette and the Subculture palette. Before we get started into this, I do hope that you will subscribe to my channel. If you like comparison videos like this, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to put your notification bell on so you get notified when I upload new videos. I do have 3 other looks up on my channel with the Subculture palette, which I have absolutely been loving. If you want to check those out, I will link them in the iCards and then I'll also put them down in the description box below. It's 2 videos but 3 looks. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare these 2 palettes. So you can see that this was like their dupe for the Subculture palette. And I actually don't mind this palette. And I obviously don't mind this palette. Today I'm going to swatch them against each other, the colors that are supposed to be matches. So I'm going to do a look on one eye with the Subculture palette and one eye with the Reloaded Iconic, what is this called? Reloaded? The Reloaded palette. And see which one looks better, if there is much of a difference at all, which one is easier to apply. I actually purchased this one first, I think around the springtime. That's when I started hearing and watching a lot of videos about all the hype around the Subculture palette and how, I guess, negative hype around it. And I really liked the color scheme of it, but I didn't want to put that money into it when all these people were saying that it wasn't any good. So I purchased this one because it was very similar to it. And I think I got it at Ulta. I think it's $7.50 regularly, so I probably got it for like $5.99, $5.50 because I get everything on sale. And I've used this a few times. I don't typically like the Makeup Revolution dupe palettes. I just feel like they don't perform well and they're not very pigmented. And then this one I just got recently because I have still been longing for this one. And it was at TJ Maxx for $24.99. So I picked that up. It actually took me quite a bit of time to open it and use it because I just wasn't sure if I was going to keep it or not because there was so much negativity around it. But I did decide to keep it and I'm so glad I did because I've been loving it. So yeah, today we're just going to kind of compare them. Looks like there's one extra shade in the Reloaded one, and I'm trying to figure out which one it is. Okay, so it's got two of these olive tones. So I think this is the extra one, and this is more of an olive blue tone, whereas this is more of an olive yellow tone, and so that's the extra one. So we'll swatch the other ones against each other, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a look with them. So the first one is Cube. This is Cube from the ABH. And then the matching color right here. So those very similar. This one is intended to be more of a topper than an eyeshadow on its own. It also makes a very pretty inner corner highlight. And the next one from the ABH palette is Dawn. And this is the one from the Reloaded palette. The Reloaded one is a little bit more yellow tone to it. And from the ABH palette we have Destiny, and from the Reloaded palette. Let's go ahead and swatch that extra shade that is comparable to these. So these are the 2 that are comparable to this one. This one is more of a similar tone, but it's a lighter version of it, and then that one is the more blue toned one. So I mean, honestly, most of these are swatching in terms of quality very similarly. And then from the ABH we have Adorn, and from the Reloaded, wow, those are both beautiful too. The Reloaded ones are a bit creamier, whereas the ABH ones are a little more drier and have more fallout to them. This is Mercury from the ABH palette and from the Reloaded. The one from the ABH palette here definitely had more pigment to it and was a little deeper of a tone. This one from the Reloaded, I did just swatch again to see if I could build some up, and I could build it up with that. So this is from the first row. So if I'm going from here and I go to row 2, we've got this more blue shade, I think. So they're not matching up exactly. That's from the Reloaded, and that is going to match up with Axis from the Subculture palette. Definitely a lot more pigment to this one. This one almost has a grayish tone to it. And then the next one in the Reloaded palette is this one, which is matching up to All Star in the Subculture palette. So that Subculture has got more pigment and pop to it than the one from the Reloaded palette has. Okay, I had to switch these to flip them around because I need my Subculture ones on the top. So the next one we have is Roxy from the Subculture palette, and this one from the Reloaded palette. Next one in the Reloaded palette matches up to Electric from the Subculture palette. So here is Electric. This one's an interesting shade. It is definitely more of a shadow topper than it is just a shadow on its own. Here is the one from the Reloaded palette. So they both have that shift to them. This one almost has more of a peach shift than this one does. So there you can kind of see how they shift, but they both felt very creamy. Obviously, if you know ABH shadows, you know that the shimmery shades are very crumbly, and that one is also very crumbly, but I found it fine to work with when I did looks with it. The next one in the Reloaded palette matches up with Fudge from the Subculture palette. So there's Fudge, and there's the one from the Reloaded palette. Definitely Fudge has got more pigment to it than the one from the Reloaded palette. So here is the second row in the Reloaded palette, matching up with the Subculture palette colors. I did it by rows in that palette because it's 5 is a good amount to fit on here when you're matching them with shades. Okay, now we're going to move on to the last row of the Reloaded palette. And we're going to start out with New Wave from the Subculture palette. So we have New Wave from the Subculture palette with the Reloaded counterpart. So the Reloaded one has a bit more of an orange tint to it, but those are very similar in color. And then we've got Edge from the ABH palette, and it's matching one from the Reloaded palette. Oh yeah, for sure the Subculture one has a lot more pigment in that one. The next one in the Reloaded palette matches up to Untamed from the Subculture palette. This is the one that I thought went with that army green one, but it doesn't. Definitely more pigment in the Subculture one. The next one in the Reloaded matches up with Roxy in the, I think. Alright, so here's Roxy from the Subculture, and then this is the next one in the ABH palette. Yeah, those definitely match up. This one has a little bit more of a red tone to it. This one is definitely more pigmented from the Subculture palette. And then the last shade from the Reloaded palette matches to Nothing in the Subculture palette, and it is like, looks like it's going to be a really smoky, it's like a charcoal gray, but a satin. It's like a satin charcoal gray. Here are the shades from the last row in the Reloaded palette, matched up with its counterpart from the ABH palette. Now we are going to try some of these on the eyes. This is the palette I was most nervous about buying so far this year, and this year's almost over. I don't think I'm buying any more palettes. But it's the palette that I have probably not the most excited to play with, but I have been so excited and happy to play with this palette. Just the different color combinations that I can get from it. So let's see. For this look, I want to use the same brushes for the same color. So I do have not my color switch pan because I can't find it. But I do have this little bun holder thing that I'm going to use to clean my brushes off. This is like the same material. I actually have a little container that I bought to put this in to like make my own color switch pan, and I can't find that either. So we are just going to be using this today. So I'm going to go ahead and start out with, I'm going to start out with this brush. This is the Morphe, and I'm just cleaning off everything in between uses. This is the Morphe 441, so I'm going to take, I think I'm going to take Edge from the ABH palette, which is this mustardy yellow shade right here. So that's just gonna go in the transition area. The one thing I'm finding I do wish this palette had was a bit, like one more shimmer. Because although they have those transformer colors in there, I do wish I had another shimmer. Alright, so then I'm going to go ahead. This is going to take me a long time. Hopefully I don't have to do a lot of back and forth because we're using the same brush. So this is the shade that matches from the Reloaded palette. So you can already see that definitely looks different. So definitely you could tell this has more pigment, but it also has a little bit more of an orange undertone to it. So next I'm going to go in with a pinched blending brush. I'm just going to take my Wet n Wild P15 and I am going to go in with, by the way, I have no idea what look I'm creating today. I'm just playing with shadows. I definitely want to use I definitely want to use All Star today because I don't think I used it much in my other looks I did. I think I'm going to start with Destiny in the crease and just see how that looks. That's the olive green shade, and then we're going to take All Star on the outer V. So this is Destiny, this is All Star, and this is just going to go, I'm just going to kind of deepen up that crease right there. For this green shade, I do pat this in. Just giving it a little bit of depth. Pretty easy to blend those together and get some depth with that. And then I'm going to go back with my 441 without putting any color on it, but just kind of blending that together. And then I am going to clean off my P15 from Wet n Wild and go in with this green shade right here. And then for when I use All Star, I will be using this shade right here. Obviously, we're not starting with as much pigment as we did with the Subculture palette, but let's see if we can build it up. I'm just using that same, patting that on at first to get the most pigment that I can from it. Okay, so definitely still not as much pigment as over here, but it also has a little bit different of a tone to it as well. So I'm going to leave it right there, but I'm going to take that brush and just blend that together right there. I do like this color also though. It just is a little bit different of a tone to it. Then I'm going to go in with this little brush here that I got from my BoxyCharm. This is the Luxie 121 and All Star from the Subculture palette. And I'm just going to kind of pack that on the outer portion of the lid. That's a really pretty, almost like cranberry purple color. And just bringing it right up along the outer V with the other shades. I've been really liking this brush for doing my outer V. Okay, and then next I'm going to go in with the shade from the... I mean, in all fairness, this palette does have Kick Up as well. You can see some there from the green and purple shade that I'm using. But the ones from the Reloaded are also much creamier than the ones from the Subculture. But you've got a lot more pigment from the Subculture. Okay, so definitely not getting that same amount of pigment that I'm getting from the Subculture with this shade. So we'll just see if we can build it up a bit more. I mean, so far, like, no fallout from either of them. But I'm definitely not getting the same pigment here. You can build it up some. Can you though? This eye is not looking... I think I want to put blue on the lid, the Axis shade, and then I want to put Cube over it. So that Axis is actually going to go on most of the lid. So I'm cleaning off just a little detailer brush to use. This is my Alamar Cosmetics detailer brush, and I'm going to go in with Axis all over the lid. And then what I may do is just do a cube like this much and leave axis moving right into that other color. Ooh, that looks so pretty. Look at that. Okay, I think I want to bring axis up just a bit more to blend right in here. It looks kind of like an awkward line. Now I'm going to go in with the blue from the Reloaded palette. It's this one right here. And see what kind of pigment we can get from that. I think this one did have a bit of a different undertone to it. Definitely not as pigmented. But the other thing is you might like a less pigmented look. So I think each of these palettes could be for somebody, although that Makeup Revolution did totally copy Subculture. But I'm not really getting into that conversation right now. Ooh. So because this is less pigmented, it's very hard to get this nice shape that I got on this one. And I'm not sure how much building up I'm going to get with this. Yikesy dikesy. Let me go ahead and dust off definitely some fallout from that shade on both sides. Okay. So let's just go ahead and go in with Cube and then clean it up from there. I do take Cube on a fixing spray, and I'm actually going to take that same Alamar brush that I was using, and I'm going to take Cube. You've kind of got to, this one's Cube right here. It's this white one that has the pink pearlescent shifts to it. You've definitely got to pick some up, and it is quite crumbly. And then I spray this shade, and then I'm going to pop it on top of Axis. I'm just going to take a little bit without fixing spray and just kind of pat it along where those shades meet. And then I'm going to take a little bit of Axis on my fingernail and pat that also, just to get a seamless look there. So there's Axis on top of there. It's like kind of a purpley black almost. Then I'm going to take the Cube shade from the Reloaded palette and spray it also, and see what we can get on this eye. So the same with the Cube on this. You do have to dig into it and pick it up. But it's almost like it's starting to move the greenish blue color around, and I'm losing that color. I don't really want to walk around today with... I mean, I guess they don't look that different. Yes, they do. To me, they do. Maybe other people won't be able to notice. Alright, then I'm going to go in with the Axis Mate from the Reloaded palette and tap that along here. I wish that burgundy shade was deeper here. It just looks kind of washed out and it's skippy and, you know, not amazing. Let me go ahead and clean up. I am going to go in with, I want to do a little bit more blending here, but not a ton because I like how it looks. So I'm going to go in with my tiny little, where is it at? This is from BH Cosmetics. This is the number 6. It is a pinched fan something brush. And I'm going to go in with Destiny, which is the olive green shade. And I'm just going to, I hope you guys have been able to see what I've been doing. I'm just going to pull a bit of it right here. And then I'm going to take the same shade from the other palette and do the same thing. And I'm going to take a little mini blending brush and Edge, which was our yellow shade, just to make sure we're blended out right here. Now I'm going to go ahead and do some lower lash line. So I'm going to take a little pencil brush and I'm going to take Edge, the yellow shade, and just smudge that all along the lower lash line. The one from the, ooh, that's got really good pigment there, huh? And then I'm going to take just a little bit of All Star for the outer V, just so we kind of meet those colors together. I mean, this shade I built up quite a bit, so it's really irritating me that it's so light still. Oh, inner corner highlight. We want to put Cube, just popping that on. This one's from the Reloaded. And from the Subculture, that definitely has got more pigment. You don't need as much to get good pigment to it. And it doesn't pick up all the shade that's under it, so you can actually use it as a topper, putting it on top of colors. All right, let me go ahead and do some liner and mascara, and I will be back with the look. Okay, so here I am with the final look with mascara on. I used the Flick liner from Revolution Beauty. I've really been enjoying that liner. And on my lips, I used the Strictly Vinyl in Sugar Mama from NYX. I love this. I love this color. This color is perfect with this palette. And I talked about this in an Ulta haul. I'll link it up here, but just that I wanted to wear this in a future video for you guys so you could see what it looks like on. So here it is. I did pop, this is a LA Girl Royal Blue in the waterline. I tried to put on this new one I got from Sephora that is also in that haul that I was so excited about. And nothing. Literally nothing. Like, this is what it looks like on my hand. Nothing showed up in the waterline, so I'm going to try it again, but if it doesn't work, I'm returning it because there's no point in having a gel liner that doesn't work. I'm going to go ahead and put on some lashes, and I will be back to show you the final look and my final thoughts on the comparison between these two palettes. I think this is the final look. So I put on the Ardell lashes in the Naturals 106. Is it the Naturals? Yeah, it's the Natural Variety Pack 106. If you've kind of been following me while I've been trialing these, this is wear number 7. So I'm getting a lot of wears out of these, just saying. Ardell has got some good lashes. So I'm going to continue to wear test the other lashes in this pack as well, except for the 109s that I lost that I think were one of my favorite styles. But I probably have a 109 somewhere else I can try. So far though, 7 wears, and I think this pack was either, I think I said $5 somewhere. I think it was closer to 7, but so far $1 a wear, so we're doing good. So I think you know that I like the Subculture palette better. I definitely got more pigment from these shades, and that this Cube one works a lot better than the Dupe Cube in the Reloaded palette. I'm almost tempted to do another look, trying out the electric shade with that shade comparison. Here's the thing. If you like matte shades and you like a softer pigment to it and you don't really care about these shimmer shades, well, this one I think is going to perform well. It's swatched really well. But these two here that are kind of toppers and transformer shades, they were a bit more crumbly, and I think that this one's going to perform similarly to this one, where it kind of takes off the shadow that's under it instead of transforming it. But I think these two shades make the Subculture palette, so for me, I would prefer the Subculture palette. If you don't care about those shades and you like a softer look, this palette may be for you. I don't really like how this shade performed. I think it gave me a little skipping. It doesn't, I mean, this eye over here does not look bad by any means. This one just has a lot more pigment to it, and I prefer a brightly pigmented eye to a softer, low pigment eye. I did prime my eyes before use with the Ulta Matte eyeshadow primer, and I do not set my I don't set my primers before I do my eyeshadows, just in case you were wondering about that. Let me give you guys just kind of a close-up of these eye looks so you can see. I think it speaks for itself. This is the Subculture one, this is the Reloaded one, and you can see the difference in pigment in them. Let me know if you've tried out either of these palettes and what you think of them. I know a lot of people, since I've been using this, I've been hearing more people say that the ones at TJ Maxx, people like them, and the ones, you know, obviously the reviews from people were before they were at TJ Maxx, the ones that didn't like them. So I don't know if there's any correlation to that or not. All I know is I love my Subculture palette. This is my fourth look I created from it that I absolutely adore. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this comparison video. I do hope that you enjoyed it and you got some information from it. Please do subscribe before you leave. Give this video a thumbs up. Have an amazing day, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!